Part 2, The Forbidden Room. There is something no one tells us about the lives that we build carefully, patiently, the way it is supposed to. Behind one of its doors, the one you were not supposed to open, is the truth about who you actually are. We were taught to be careful. Don't go to places you were not invited to. Don't ask too many questions. Don't be too emotional, too sensitive, too much. And as a result, there is a voice in every woman that had learned to say, "You imagined it." It tells you that your instincts are overreactions. It tells you that the pity smile someone gave you, oh sweetie thing, was care. It explains that the fights with your partner that slowly drains you are normal and will pass. It reframed that the job that had been quietly consuming your weekends as an excellent opportunity that you should be grateful for. It says, don't be difficult, be polite, smile. Sometimes this voice belongs to a person, a partner, a parent, someone older or more senior whose approval you wanted, someone you admired, and so you handed without quite meaning to the authority over your own life. You can still hear them. Those friends of yours aren't good for you. Why bother with your painting? You will never make money from it. I'm only saying it because I want the best for you. But more often, those voices are the ones you allowed yourself. You may not have noticed when it started. Quietly over the years, from being polite or unsure, you learn to say, "This might be a stupid idea, but they have probably already thought of this. They didn't mean it like that. I'm probably overreacting. They have probably more important things going on right now. Maybe just me, I'm reading too much into this. I will be fine. I just need to take a breath and I will be able to keep going." You developed this voice to protect yourself. It worked. The problem is that it stayed long after the person whose approval you needed had left the room, long after there was anyone left to protect yourself from. But it is still there now. In the meeting where you almost said something. In the conversation you talked yourself out of before you could feel it fully. Every time something small inside of you wanted to protest, that voice was already there first. Don't make it a fight. They love you. Be patient. And so you learned not to trust what you knew. This is the killer of inner knowing, the one that sounds like a reason, the one that sounds like you. That is Sylvia's story too. She thought it wasn't until she found herself living it. As time passed, life had become precisely scheduled, on time, but her laughter has disappeared. She had stopped singing. She had stopped asking herself what she wanted because she simply didn't want anything anymore. One night, after the house got quiet, she woke up from a dream. She was standing before a locked door. A key burned in her palm. "Don't open it," said one voice. But another said, look before it's too late." Behind the door were her memories. every part of her she had set aside. The girl who wanted to be an artist, the teenager who was made to apologize for speaking her truth, the woman who had once shuddered kitchen dishes out of desperation and rage at being ignored. All of them were there, still alive, forgotten. She stood looking at them. Those parts of her locked away in the darkest corner of her memory. And something cold moved along her spine when she realized that she had been willing keeper of that door all along. She herself had allowed those voices that carried shame and guilt with them to move in, gave them a key, and turned down the light so no one would notice the rooms they occupied. When a woman opens the forbidden room, it isn't a sin, it's a waking, because it is precisely where our power hides. But the fear doesn't work. We're afraid to see clearly because then we would have to act. We would have to leave or speak or change something or lose something we have organized our entire life around. The morning after the dream, Sylvia said to herself, I'm angry. I'm tired of letting everyone else run my life. I don't want to look up to someone else's opinion anymore. And this time around, it felt different. Not as a thought, as a fact that she had stopped finally arguing with. At lunch with two former colleagues, the conversation turned to someone who had left the senior role. That is such a pity, a shameful waste of potential. Everything she has been working toward all those years. You wonder if she will ever get back to where she was. Sylvia would usually nod, or change the subject, or say something carefully to let the moment pass. But this time, something rose in her that wasn't willing to be managed. She heard herself speak before she fully comprehended. Or maybe where she was isn't where she wanted to be. Well, obvious, said the woman, but professionally. I know what you mean, said Sylvia, but maybe she was climbing a ladder that leaned against the wrong fence. Walking back to the studio, Sylvia noticed something. She was not replaying what she had said. She was not thinking about whether she had offended them or defending herself. The door that she had opened at that night was still open. And most importantly, she had not handed the key to anyone new. And in that was her freedom. How about you? Is there someone whose opinion of you quietly runs your decisions? Someone out of respect or admiration you have never quite spoken to as an equal?